And then we fell apart. We had some poor offensive possessions where we bailed on our transition defensive assignments. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And you cannot take plays off in this league. You can't get distracted, especially when it's the number one thing on the board that we have to accomplish, which is consistently every single possession being in transition defense. And it was some of our, so it was. And we just allowed ourselves to get distracted. We actually started the game well. We were functioning well, and then we just let Georgia get into a flow in transition, which is what they do.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. Honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live, podcast, which will be up at 2:30, or anywhere in the world online on the ESPN Lexington app or on 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. Basketball show. Sean Woods, Jerry Tipton, Doug Barnes, former Star Cat, former Hall of Fame scribe, former UK assistant. I got a new angle. And the reason why I'm saying it's new, there are some other things that won't surprise you, but I haven't heard it or seen it anywhere. I want you to think about this. Georgia is much more, let me repeat, Georgia is much, 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 much more athletic than Kentucky. It's not even close. I'm not saying this is a bad athletic team, but it's not in particular a good athletic team. They're not. They are not very good going side to side playing defense. They're not. And if you think about it, there were a lot of threes that Georgia made because of their quickness, and there were a lot of threes that Georgia made because where the hell was the defense? Now, I could understand if Kentucky in the game plan said, let them shoot because they stink shooting threes. They stink shooting threes. But isn't basketball all about adjustments? And so there's two schools of thought. One, let them keep shooting because guess what? They can't make them all, and they're not good shooters. I don't buy that. I know it's a school of thought. I don't buy it. I'll tell you why. Look, Georgia's not a good three-point shooting team. Everybody knows that. But when you hit a couple, you get hot, and you start feeling pretty good, and you do. And you get that feeling, and the feeling continues, and maybe it goes for quite a while. Georgia sucks shooting threes. Not last night. They got their average up. It was incredible how good they were. But I want you to think about the athleticism. It's not even close. And I'm looking on Twitter and looking at all the experts, and nobody's talking about the athleticism. So I'm not putting it on Twitter because I don't want to talk about it today. I don't need to help other shows. Twitter is a tool for my show. And when I'm done, Twitter won't be a tool for my show. It's pretty simple. And I'm not ripping Pope for the athletes he's brought in. I'm not, because nothing is perfect. And it's easy to criticize the construction, which I have, of this roster. I'm not doing that now. I'm not. Georgia is unusually what? Athletic. Man, they're athletic. And you watch them last night, and you're saying, how the hell did they just lose so many games in a row? Here's the other part. When Kentucky lost to Arkansas, remember that first time at Rupp Arena, some guy named Calipari was coaching? And what happened when they played him again this year? Oh, guess what? We didn't forget last year. The desire of the Georgia kids was far superior than the Kentucky kids. The desire of the Georgia kids was much, 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 much greater than the Kentucky kids. Now, if you think I'm suggesting, because I don't do that anyway, that the Kentucky kids didn't want to win, no, I'm not suggesting that at all. But there's different levels. And as an athlete, you can feel it. Even on the very low levels that I played, I could tell if somebody had more desire. You could tell. You can feel it. You can understand it. You can go with it. They had desire. They're playing for their NCAA lives. Do I think it's possible that Kentucky got a little soft by winning so many games? I actually do. I do. You saying you shouldn't? Okay. It's human nature. I happen not to like that, by the way, because I was always pretty intense because I wasn't very good. That was part of it. And the other part of it is just my DNA. My sister says it's the Cutler curse that all three of us have it. We work too much. That's not bragging, by the way. I promise you it's not. I've worked with some people that should have had part of what I had, at least. Neither here nor there. And here's to the big word of the day. Fatigue. Jeez, that just ticks me off. Oh, that ticks me off. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. The other day, after the last game, I said, and I did say it, whether you listened or not, I always come clean, that I thought Owe was playing too many minutes because it looked like there was a point he looked tired to me, but nobody said it. And that's just an observation of watching basketball. And now Pope mentioned that word. To me, the word fatigue is a four-letter word in sports. It is. It's a four-letter word. We're mostly through February. And you're worried about fatigue? Really? Fatigue? Oh, my gosh. Oh my gosh, fatigue. And then there was a point, I didn't write the time down, where Owe was taken out, and Owe seemed to, if I'm getting the body language correct, didn't want to come out of the game. I kind of saw it and felt it. Maybe I read it incorrectly. Maybe. Plus, do you remember when they kind of looked at his knee and his leg and he came back in, which didn't surprise me? There is no doubt in my mind, he lost a little quickness. So I don't know if it was the little injury or bump or whatever you want to call it, or was he tired? I can't answer that. I don't know. But I was watching like a hawk to say, does he have that burst that he had before? And I didn't think he did. Oh, he played 35 minutes. And I should have led with this, and I purposely didn't. Because we all make mistakes with our mouth. And I got to tell you, Mark Pope said one of the most ridiculous things last night. Really, one of the most ridiculous things last night. That he's got to do a better job of substituting pattern. Whew. Whose fault is that? You're the coach. If you lose track of time, which can happen for a coach, I'm not ripping Pope for this or any coach, you have 9,000 assistant coaches now. 9,000 assistant coaches. They can tell you. When he said that, oh my gosh, we have to do a better job with the assistants. Excuse me, with who comes in and out. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. It was absolutely ridiculous. Whew. Pope says he needs to play the bench more minutes. He said that. I can't think of anything more ridiculous. You're the coach. Quote, we got to find ways to get our guys' minutes down. Probably can't have Ortega at 38 and DA at 36. That's minutes. It just causes our actual performance suffers as these guys get fatigued. So you don't trust your other players. You want to say the team is short? Injuries? I'm fine. I'm fine. Are these high quality scholarship players that he doesn't trust? Yep. 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 And you don't think the players know it? Think about it. You're on the bench. You're not stupid. You can see maybe that someone's getting tired, and then your coach is not putting you in. If you don't think some of these guys don't internalize that, you got rocks in your head. You got rocks in your head. And I think you're smarter than that. One of the joys for me is listening to the Goose after the game, win or lose. Because I don't know how many people can get away with it. Mike Pratt was really honest. Really like Mike Pratt. Really like Goose. Both as people, the late, great Mike Pratt. And they're both really good at what they do, but they come from it in a different way. Goose, as an analyst, wears his heart on his sleeve more than Pratt. Pratt, I don't think, felt any differently because there had many conversations with Mike away from him being on the air. And there's a trust factor. And it's not like he told me there's revolutionary things, but he would make stronger comments in a short conversation than he would on the air. That's not negative. That's true in most cases. Goose might be the same way, but he's much stronger on the air. And I've said this many times. And he kind of lectured the team, and I think these kids find out, about taking a playoff. And he called it taking a shortcut. It doesn't work when you're playing a team that is desperate. That's what he said. Kentucky tried to take a shortcut, and it doesn't work when you're playing a team that is desperate. That's not a quote, but it's very close to a paraphrase. And then Goose had some guts. He said, Mo is physical, which he was. Who else was? Who else was? Colin Chandler even admitted to Goose. Goose is smart. I've told you that Colin is the best interview on the team. Been saying that for quite some time. He just says it. And Colin admitted to Goose after the game that Georgia wanted him more. Then Colin also said, and this bothered me, that the team didn't execute the scouting report. So did they forget, or was it fatigue? If you get fatigued, you often forget. Which one it was, I really don't know. I don't know. Could be either. Could be both. Really. Really. Funny line of the night. Let me give it to Jack Pilgrim. Jimmy, I don't know if you saw it. It was a 61-55, and Pilgrim put on Twitter, quote, "Please don't lose this dumb game. I'm begging." Jimmy, I literally laughed out loud. Please don't lose this dumb game. I'm begging. It was absolutely the tweet of the night. First of all, Jack does a really good job as a reporter, but he's a huge Kentucky fan. Can you tell? If you know Jack, he's a good dude. He's got a great future in the business, but that's not the point. So then I put on the tweet and I said, I'm copying Jack when I said I'm begging. This has been driving me nuts. Jimmy, the only thing I've complained more about is free throw shooting for years now. The second most is absolutely, and it's a deep number second. It's not even a 1A, it's number 2. I've been complaining for 2 years that Pope's teams are lousy when it comes to setting screens. They're lousy. They really are. You know, when Pope came here, I was envisioning, and you know, they showed it a little early on, and then they stopped. Double screens. But here's the thing. You got to sprint. For a double screen to work, these guys got to cut really hard. Really hard. You got Chandler. Oh, my gosh. They are lucky and blessed to have a shooter like this. It is crazy how good he is. You know that? And would you set a double screen, and would you have to have him sprint around? I don't understand it. This is simply basketball 101. Colin Chandler is a great shooter. He's shooting more from threes than he is for totally. He's shooting. Jimmy, do me a favor. I should have done this. Would you put in the top 10 3-point shooters in college basketball this year? Thank you, Jimmy. He's at 44 freaking percent. And the last 5 or 6 games, he's been crazy good. His average just got up to 18 after last night. 44%. He's 56 for 127. He's only made 28 twos. How about this? My math in my head. Colin Chandler has made twice as many threes as twos. Wow. I'm sure this has happened before in the history of college basketball. I bet it's rare. I bet it's really, really rare. 2/3 of his shots that has been made are threes. And he's got the confidence now to throw it up from everywhere. So he missed a couple late. Really, give the kid a break. He's been wonderful. He's been wonderful. He's only shooting 82% from the line. I'm being sarcastic. 44% from threes and 44% from twos, 43.8. I rounded up. So he's doing a smidgen more. I don't understand why they're not screening for him all the time. I'll go one step further. He'd have to run so hard around these screens, you'd have to play him a little less. You really would. Because this is hard. It's sprinting, it's cutting, it's angles. I'm not saying he should be Steph Curry. Please, 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 please. But watch how Curry sometimes runs around to get open. I think the kid's name was McNamara. He's a shooter from Syracuse. Best college player I've ever seen running around screens. He was unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And you have to be in unbelievable shape to do it. What is a coach's job? A coach's job is to adjust to his talent. Jimmy, I look at Chandler, and I've been screaming about this. You got Mo. You got Garrison. I would be okay if Ortega set some screens. You know who was one of the best screeners in the NBA over a 20-year period? Are you ready for this? John Stockton. He did it from alone all the time and sometimes got the ball back. Little John Stockton was tougher than you know what. And I've told this story before. Last time Pope was on, it was last year, and as I said, I can't believe he'll ever come back and do my show live again. Although he says, if we're playing bad, give it to us. I appreciate that, Mark, but I don't think you'll do the show. I'm just being natural and being myself. That's often not good enough for coaches, and it's okay. It's all part of the deal. I'm not changing my mouth to get a kiss-ass interview or a nice interview or a heavy interview or any interview. It's a pretty simple deal. Jimmy, do you have that number or it didn't pop up?
What stat specifically were you looking at?
I'm looking for the shooting percentage of threes.
So I'm looking. He is shooting 44%, but I don't know if it's because maybe he's not qualified or he doesn't have enough minutes, but Iowa State's got a kid shooting 51% from three.
Wow.
And so I was looking through here like on the top 100, and he's not listed. Colin Chandler is. And I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah, me too, because he's playing 25 minutes a game, and he's 127 threes. So I'm with you with your thought process. For example, if Trent Noah, who's at 38%. So let's say Trent Noah was at 50%. He's only playing 11 minutes a game, and I can see him not making the list. There is some minimum, and you would think it'd be on top of the list. But why the heck would Colin starting 21 games, averaging 25 minutes a game, and 127 threes? That doesn't make any sense to me. In other words, I believe what you're saying. That, Jimmy, I would never question that. And I don't question that. What's wrong with me?
But basically, I'm looking at this list and where he'd be about 8th or 9th in the country.
Okay.
For three-point percentage.
Okay. Pretty damn good. Anybody else in the Southeastern Conference in the top 10?
There's someone from Vandy, their point guard Tyler Nickel. He's up there. Aiden Holloway from Alabama's up there, and that's it.
Okay. Jimmy, you want to be Nickel's agent? You can leave me quickly. You're going to make more money. You're going to make more money. That is baffling, isn't it? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
Huh. Okay. All good. He's at 44%. But you see my point about the double screens. You see my point about the double screens. And losing focus, it's BS. It's baloney. It really is. Now think about my earlier comment. Do you all look at when a team is that much more athletic than another team? I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Can you imagine a Rick Pitino team in February? And Rick ain't shy, as you know. Him coming out and saying, fatigue really got to us. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. Now, I do understand that this time of year, it is difficult to overwork your kids. Cal was good about it easing down. A lot of coaches are good about it easing down. You've played a lot of games. Guys are tired and all that kind of stuff. But I remember one of the Reds during their heyday talked about how Sparky Anderson would run them like crazy in spring training, like crazy. And that would actually help them throughout the entire season because it built the base. Never forgot that. Never forgot that. And they probably had fewer hamstring problems than you have today. I'm not going to get started on that. Some of it's training and how they do stuff. I'm not a trainer, but I can see what I see. It's nuts. Fatigue, Kentucky. Jimmy, you want to play some sound, but it's already 22 minutes after. Do you see where I'm coming from when I'm saying, by the way, I don't give a crap if it's transient. I don't give a blank if it's Vanderbilt. I don't care if it's Kentucky. I don't care if it's Alabama. I don't care if it's Boise State. If you got fatigue in February, something is wrong with your team. It's just wrong. Something is wrong. You disagree with a syllable of that, Jimmy?
No. Like you said, I mean, the fatigue thing should not be a factor now because guess what? In a couple weeks, you're gonna be playing a lot of games in a row if you're winning.
And here's the point. When you're playing a lot of those games, you're going to have to play no more. Otherwise, you're going to lose quicker because guys are going to have heavy legs. They are. And you're nodding your head, yes, Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, I think if you play some guys a little bit more, and by the way, I'm not saying that, Jasper should play 30 minutes a game or anything like that. By the way, he really was hurting on defense last night. He was really hurting on defense. You know what he is? He's a freshman. Okay, and everybody should take into account he is a freshman, and sometimes people are just freshmen. They are. And I think some of the expectations of his talent at this point are wrong. Here's where they're right, and here's where they're wrong. Sometimes it takes a little while to adjust. Jasper needs to get stronger. I know he's trying on defense. He's just not very good. I think Jasper has tons of potential. Kid is a worker. Okay? We are all guilty. Me too, of times looking at a kid and looking at the adjustment, but you have to see him. He's not a good defensive player. He hurt him defensively. He did. He did. Oh, you know what? Jimmy, I didn't consider that.
Yeah. So, Colin Chandler, the statistics, you have to play in at least 75% of the team's games and have a minimum of 2.5 threes made per game. He is averaging 2.2 threes a game. But this last surge that he's had the last couple weeks, he'll be on here by this time next week if I had to guess if he keeps going.
Good work, Jimmy. Nice.
So he's 0.3 of a three-pointer per game. Once he does that, he'll be top 10 in the country.
I got you. And I just assumed he had shot enough threes.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to change the rules. You know what the rule should be? You said 2.5?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with 2?
Yeah, right.
I mean, how many added people who we don't know, but do you think there'd be 20 new people put on this list? No. How many are on your list? 50, 100 that you pulled up?
Yeah, there's 100 on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 or 6. Maybe 5 or 6. Dumbass rule. I haven't said that word in a long time. I feel better. I'm ticked from last night. I am ticked. I really thought Kentucky was going to win. Now, to one of my favorite subjects, and I purposely waited to 12:25 because I did not want to do a ton of time on this starting out because it had been the first 15 minutes. I know how I am. Free throws. Free throws. Jimmy, how many times do you think I've talked about free throws since you and I have been together?
During basketball season, it's been right up there with the most of anything, like any specific thing you've brought up.
And I hate to say Nazi, but he was 0 for 6. I'm at the game, national championship. against Arizona. Kentucky loses in overtime. He hits 3 free throws. There's no overtime. I mean, I'm not blaming. I love Nazi. I'm not blaming Nazi. Okay, hear me out. Here's my last logic, and I'm going to throw it to Sean Woods. Jimmy, play a game with me. They're down 81-78. There's a minute 17 to go, okay? And then Kentucky didn't do well. Okay, they had a chance. They didn't do well. I'm not complaining about that they didn't do well. I want you to think for a moment. Just think. They're 12 for frickin' 20 from the free throw line. That sucks. I told you 75% of the minimum. You're not shooting 75%. You suck. I'm not. I don't care if it's Transy, Eastern Kentucky, I don't care. You suck. That's my world. That's my Mendoza line. It's my Mendoza line. And I'm not changing. So, okay, I'm not saying they should have made 18 to 20, which would be 90%. Suppose they hit 16 to 20. How unreasonable is that as 80%? Yeah, for this team, probably. How about if they hit 15 to 20? Jimmy, that's 75%. They hit 15 to 20, basically, that's a tie game instead of being down with 1:17 to go. And had they done a hell of a job shooting free throws above average, you can do that too, they might have been leading. So the entire construction of the end of the game would have been different. It would have been different. Owe, 3 of 6. Aberdeen, 4 of 7. He's got the damn ball in his hands. Okay, Noah was 0 for 1. I know. I'm sure you're like me. The kid goes to the free throw line. Do you think he's going to miss? No. This is a bad loss. Now, here's what happens around here, as you know. This is 2 in a row. You lose to Auburn, and this thing can crumble. Now, if you're saying I'm jumping on and off the boat, you don't know me. Every game is a chapter. You've got all these chapters, each game that makes up a book. Momentum is funny. They should have beaten Georgia last night. There's all kinds of ways they should have beaten Georgia. By the way, Santo had 14 points and 8 rebounds. And I got to tell you, it felt like he had 20 points. And if the Kentucky kids are dreaming of the dunks that he dunked over him, 25 minutes and he was a force and two steals, which is crazy. They got pushed around. The lack of physicality, UK. I guarantee you Auburn's going to come out and be physical with Kentucky. Let me repeat. I guarantee you they're going to come out and be physical against Kentucky. I don't see any other way. If I'm Pearl, it's exactly what I'm doing. And I can recommend, if you're looking for a vehicle, the exact thing that I recommend you do is go to the Quantrell Group. They're Cadillacs, they're Subarus, they're Volvos. We have the XC60, the Volvo, the hybrid. Every day I tell you it's the best car we've had in 43 years. And we're saving money with the plug-in. 41 miles without using gas. Most days, Judy's not using gas. It's a pretty simple deal. And it's great. And don't forget about the Cadillacs, because are you ready to feel the surge? Because Cadillac just turned the dial all the way up. At Quantrill Cadillac, innovation meets raw performance. From head-turning electric models to bold, gas-powered luxury machines built to move fast. We know that firsthand. Right now, get 2.9%. That's 2.9%. 2.9% APR for 60 months on many electric models. And 3.4% APR for 36 months on many gas-powered models. That's premium power with serious momentum behind it. Hit the throttle today. I love that line. Hit the throttle today at QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for details. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine. I'm lucky to have found them, and they're terrific. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto.
Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth. And we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Basketball games are so much of energy, and there's an energy to the game, there's runs in the game, and I think they kind of took the energy there for a good little bit. And then we traded punches a little bit in finding energy, and just we weren't able to get enough.
That is the one, the only Colin Chandler, shooting 44% from downtown. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my friend, my nemesis, the man who loves to bust my chops more than anything else in his now athletic life. Well, he's too old to be an athletic guy, but he was great back in the day. Mr. Sean Woods, who's up in the rafters of up as he deserves. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Hey, Buzz. How you doing, man? I'm doing okay.
I'm good. You got a very nice compliment that I don't think is too private I can share. You ready?
Okay.
Chip Rupp went to the Scott County Henry Clay the other night with his son and really like how you coach the team.
Oh, tell Chip I said appreciate it, man. I appreciate that.
And he says you need to do a better job recruiting.
Can't say that word, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, and I feel so bad. Okay. But it was a really lovely text. Didn't ask for it. Didn't know he was going to the game. And the text was actually even stronger about your coaching. But you know what? I get this nice to you. I start getting hives.
Hey, just like anything, man, they'll go away in time.
Yeah. Can you imagine somebody just tuning in now to my show the first time, right? And they're going, Cutler attacked Sean Woods of hives. We both want to go, give me a pie. I'm going to throw it in that person's face. Okay.
No doubt.
So I can't be careful. This really, I almost used the word with a P, ticks me off. Last time I checked, we're mostly through February. And to me, the word fatigue is a 4-letter word in sports. You know, if a guy's coming back from an injury, okay, and he's not 100%, and you do stuff in the pool and all that kind of stuff, and it takes you a couple weeks to get your legs back, I get it, I understand it, I respect it. We're closer to March than we are February, and Pope is talking about fatigue. Did you guys ever have fatigue? What the hell is going on with these guys training? What the hell is going on? I mean,
if they're not in shape to play 40 minutes a game by now, then what have they been doing in practice? Or they played enough games to be in game shape this time of the year. So I don't have too much to say about that. You know, you look at every other school and every other team in America, their best players are playing 35+ minutes a game. So I don't buy that at all. I mean, I love him. I think he's doing a heck of a job. Even yesterday against Georgia, you know, they made tough shots. I mean, they made some unbelievable threes to keep themselves in the game and keep Kentucky at bay. And it was just their night. But as far as you saying the reason why you lost or whatever, because you playing guys too many minutes, you got Oweh, who's the preseason player of the year. So you telling me the preseason player of the year should only be playing 25 minutes a game, 30 at most? Come on. Not buying that one.
So are you questioning the conditioning, or you think it was an excuse by Pope?
There's no way they're not in condition to play, go the long haul if need be. They're their best players. It's not. They didn't run out of gas. I mean, Oweh was getting better as the game was going on. The later the game, the better he played. So he wasn't fatigued. If they're worried about fatigue right now, then you know what I'm saying, then I do question what they're doing in practice. If you remember last year, now he was, you can only go so far in practice before they stopped you. I've never heard of that before. Practice is supposed to be harder than the game, so you can play. I've always been trained and coached for anybody, even a walk-on, to be able to play 40 minutes if need be. I mean, Coach Pitino would never say that. That's what I'm saying. And he says all the time, fatigue makes cowards out of us all. So you try to be in the best shape you possibly can. To say that you're playing your guys too many minutes, what they're saying is you don't believe in the other guys that you got that's coming off the bench. And you're trying to find ways to, you're not playing them enough because you don't trust them. And all you can trust is your starting five or your better players. That's what that tells me.
And I just questioned that about 5 minutes ago, that I wonder if it's because he doesn't trust these other guys.
I mean, you saying you're trying to find time for guys, that means that you're riding the guys as long as you can, and rightfully so, and you don't trust those guys to put them in the game, to sub because they need minutes more so than sub because your guys need rest.
Well, they got another problem. If he doesn't trust the guys off the bench, and, you might have to attempt to play 3 games in 3 days or maybe 4 games in 4 days if you can get that far, and if you're playing no bench, at that point, anybody's legs get tired, yes, like in the SEC tournament.
Alan, remember that first year, 1989-90 season? We only had 8 scholarship players, man.
And they ran you to – And
back then there was no 20-hour rule. So don't give me fatigue.
I love it. I love your comments. That word set me off last night when I heard him say fatigue. It really did. I almost,
Just say they outlasted you. They outplayed you. Okay. They made some tough shots down the stretch. Say that. But don't make excuses about you playing your guys too many minutes. Come on, their players play minutes. Their best players, matter of fact, their leading scorer played almost the whole game. And they were still making shots. So what are you saying? What's the difference?
Was it as obvious to you as it was to me that Georgia, athletically speaking, was far superior to Kentucky? Their quickness, their speed, going side.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. When Oweh is your best on-ball defender. And when he was getting turned around, I mean, those guards from Georgia are good. I mean, they're the leading scoring team in the SEC. So you're going to be in a dogfight because they're going to score. The point is, can you score with them? And we couldn't. So they beat us at home. Granted, you've won 5 straight or whatever. This is your second game you lost, but you know what I'm saying, you found your team. But you're still going to lose some games now. I mean, come on, you're not going to go the rest of the way undefeated in this league. Whoever thought that you could win at Florida was a false. You weren't going to beat Florida at Florida, not the number one team in the reigning NCAA champs and the number one team in the league. You're not beating them at home. That's a hard fate. Okay, then you come back and you play against probably the most efficient and high-scoring team in the league, and they made shots. And there's a reason why they're the highest-scoring team in the league. I mean, they made bombs with people all over them. Those little guards are really, really good. And we don't have the guards that can defend like that. We just don't. You know what I'm saying? Whenever we play against significant guard play, that's where we struggle. I think that's our kryptonite. That, and then a real powerful, physical, athletic big, that gives us trouble, and that's what Georgia has. It was a matchup problem, I thought, more so than anything else, and you have those.
Plus, you can see with Wilkerson, he missed 2 games, didn't start last night. He's the leading scorer that, when he's in the game, and they're a totally different team. The kid's really good. I mean,
he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play professionally somewhere in the world for a long time. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean,
no
I know
doubt about it.
Big, but when you got that kind of speed, He was 3 for 8 from downtown. Okay, 37.5%. Okay, to another one of my pet peeves. Colin Chandler was 6 of 10 from downtown. He's shooting higher from threes than he is from the field. 2/3 of his shots made are threes. The kid's confidence is great. He was confident early on, then it kind of dropped, and now it's better than ever. But here's my point. Sean, if you were coaching this team, how often would you screen for Colin Chandler and have him running around double screens and stuff like that to get open?
I would do that a lot, but I also would find ways for him and others to get to the rim. You know, that's the tough part of this team right now is they're not getting enough twos. They're really relying on threes. And just think, Colin Chandler is for shooting that percentage. Go back and just watch his threes. Look how far they are. They're not even toed up. So he's making tough threes because their offense is not producing good threes for him. If that makes sense to you, what I'm saying.
Makes perfect sense, which makes it even greater what he's doing. And I agree with you.
Oh, no doubt about it. Kudos to him because he's shooting bombs. He ain't shooting like, you know, a penetrating kick. He's sitting wide open. They're running some good stuff, and he's getting, you know, good shots. He's creating wild shots, and he's just making them. You know, he's shooting, you know, almost 10 feet 6, 7 feet from the three, from the line, and he's making them.
Yeah, he's shooting.
You know, but here's the deal. I'd rather take my chance if I'm guarding them. Rather take my chance on him have to take miraculous threes than him getting wide open threes with what they're, you know, from what they're running.
Since Mark Pope has shown up, this has not been a good screening team, and I've talked about this many times, and I don't get it. I mean,
last year they were a good screening team for threes, you know, but they they were a much better shooting team. He ran good stuff for that team. The stuff that he did really suited the personnel for that team last year. I really believe that.
Okay.
But this year, that's not that type of team. You can't run sets just to get threes because we're not that good of a shooting three-point team. But because you don't have a really breakdown point guard, okay, that you can really go off ball screens and create plays for others and things like that, that's where you struggle. And that's where he's struggling at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think they're defending good enough. But, you know, sometimes, you know, they can become offensively challenged. And that's when they have their problems.
John Woods, kind enough to join us, taking his no-filter hat the way it should be. I have been complaining about free throws for years and years and years and years and years. So they're 12 for 20. That's 60%. That sucks. If you can't hit 75% in my world, you're not any good. So it's 81-78, minute 17 to go. Kentucky's down. They need to make a play. Had they hit just what I consider a normal average free throw thing, they might be ahead. Or with the minute 17 to go, you do a different kind of play with different kind of pressure. Free throw shooting has been awful for Kentucky. It's cost them some games. It's cost them a lot of things. It's just awful. It's awful, awful, awful. And I don't get it. So as a coach, what the hell do you do if you guys aren't hitting free throws?
I mean, I remember what Coach Patino used to do and what I used to do because I took pretty much everything that he did. I mean, we would have sessions, you know, first of all, he'd get us real tired in drills or whatever, and then we'd have to go shoot free throws for 10 minutes while we're tired. And then he would bring us back after practice at night, and one group will shoot for an hour, and then the next group come in and shoot for an hour. But it's got to be that, you know, because you know as well as I do, tournament time comes down to free throws.
They have been very costly this year. I mean, I know overall they're shooting 72%, which I still think stinks, but it's worse than that during conference play. I don't know if they're practicing enough. I have no idea. Maybe you do, but I have no clue. I mean, always at 71%, Aberdeen 78, Chandler at 82, Malachi at 69, Diabate at 63, and the way he shoots free throws, I'm surprised it's that high. to tell you the truth. I mean, seriously, Jasper's at 91%, but these free throws, it's just awful. It's not bad. It's
And sometimes, Alan, sometimes your bad free throw shooters are the ones who's shooting the free throws. Colin Chandler's not going to shoot a lot of free throws because he's not a driver. You know, he's not a driver. You know, Jasper Johnson, who's shooting 91%, he's not going to shoot that many because he's not a driver. You know, your meat potato guys are the ones who's shooting the free throws. You know, your 60%ers, they're the ones who right by the rim and shooting free throws, and those are the ones who, you know, your lower percentage free throw shooters on the team who's shooting the most free throws in games. That's what you're going to get.
Sorry for stepping on you, Sean. We're going to switch to Mick Cronin. I don't know if you saw what he did, but it's incredible. So, Jimmy, you have the play and the sound. You have both, correct? Okay, so here's the play that one of his kids, I think they were down by 27 points, ended the game, it was a bad foul. And so he gets so mad. I've never seen a coach do this. He literally throws his player out of the gym. Throws him out of the gym. It's as if to say, look, this is now how we are going to play, and I get it. And then after the game, it seems it was a student who asked a question about the Michigan State fans, and Cronin was an absolute jerk. So here's both, and I want you to comment.
Playing football and a foul. Cooper's fouled from behind, and now Cooper is up and in Jamerson's face. Mick Cronin is pointing to the tunnel for him to get off the floor and get out of the game. Cronin just kicked him out.
What was your thought in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right,
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
Do you really think I care about the other?
No,
team's
I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you were. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
So a little bit of a hypocrisy. Coaches can yell at players, but a guy can't answer back. I'd like for him to try that to me. One, have you ever seen a coach throw a player out like that? Two, you know, he's had some really bad losses. Three, I know nothing. But if I didn't know any better, he thinks he's done at UCLA and wants to go back to UC, where they're probably going to make a coaching change. I don't know, but how the hell can you recruit after you throw your player out of the gym? And he has been so tough on his players in post-game. I've probably seen snippets of 8 or 9 of his games. He's unfreaking believable. He's unbelievable. So can Cronin recruit? And what do you think about how he responded to that kid asked the question?
Well, I think, you know, when you're having a season like he's having, I think, you know, he's letting it get the best of him. I think it's all coming out of frustration. I think that foul didn't start with that foul. I think he was probably adamant about that player already, and the player did some dumb stuff like that. But here's the deal. I remember we were playing against Kansas, and that night we lost by 55, and Coach Pitino came in our locker room afterwards after he kicked all the coaches out. And he said they were running, dunking, pointing in the stands, and nobody even took a person out. You didn't foul hard. You didn't do nothing. I thought that was one of those deals. From the player standpoint, you know, you guys are kicking out behinds, and you get a runaway. I'm not going to give you another dunk. I'm going to foul you real hard. And I thought that's what he did. So I think Mick Cronin, just from a frustration standpoint, let it get the best of him. And there's got to be some history with that kid for him to just throw him, because he wouldn't have done every kid like that on his team. But I think that particular one, I'm not for sure, but from how I can tell he did it, I think he did that out of frustration and more so than anything else. I don't think it was the right thing to do. No coach would do that. I don't know any coach would do that. I just think Mick is frustrated with this team, how his season's going, and that was just another instance where he's showing major frustration.
Yeah, and I can see that. I can, but I can see that. Maybe it had to do with the kid and how he's playing and those kinds of things.
You don't know what's going on in the locker room. You don't know the relationship they have. Maybe the kids are bad. You know what I'm saying? He's probably fed up with the kid. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's how, from my experience, for him to act like that and throw that kid out I mean, that's how I see it. I don't think he did it because the kid, fouled and he was like, that was the wrong thing to do at that particular time. I think there's got to be some history there and some major frustration going on.
I buy it. We don't want to turn this to Mick Cronin and UCLA, but as my buddy Dick Weiss told me last night, he's got like basically no kids from the Los Angeles area on his team because they don't want to play for him. That's pretty obvious. Answers and stuff like that. When he got there, he did get a bunch of people from SoCal, whatever. So I think he's in trouble. But yeah, this is Lexington. All right, let me throw this at you. This is from Dick Hoops Weiss. Just put it up. This is fascinating. Khalil Whitney, remember he played here a little bit. He opens recruitment for college basketball return. The Chicago native played sparingly. This is just reading off Hoops. In the 2019-20 freshman season at Kentucky, averaging 3 points before leaving mid-year, going undrafted, and building a pro career in the G League and overseas. Now, with NCAA rules evolving around NIL and eligibility, he's seeking a program to handle his reinstatement amid challenges like an expired 5-year clock and past pro contracts. Whew, what do you think of that?
I coached him. He played for us for La Familia this year in TBT. And he was really good. I think he's a great individual. Here's the deal, Alan. They open up the floodgates for these guys to be able to try to attempt to do that. He's just testing to see if he can do it. You know what I'm saying? Can't blame him. He's just trying. If he does, kudos to him. If he doesn't, then, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't say it's wrong. I don't think pros can come back and should be able to come back and play college basketball. But, if you can and the rules allow it, it's America. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not even in the midst of knocking guys that's trying to do it to come back and play college basketball and still get paid. That's just an opportunity. Is it wrong for the college game? Yes. But if it's allowed, you know what I'm saying? He's not breaking the rules, not breaking the law. He's been allowed. So he's not the only one who's trying to do that.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. This hurts to say I agree with you 100%. First of all, if he comes to Kentucky, he'll make more money in 1 year at Kentucky than he's made in any 3 years playing pro ball. He hasn't made a lot of money pro and ball. He's making a living in different places and stuff. Oh, I don't blame him at all. I think it's ridiculous that he might be able to do it because I think once you sign a pro contract, you play in the G League, you shouldn't be able to come back. I don't care if it's $35,000 a year or whatever the heck it is. It's a pro contract, and there's a double standard. The guys overseas, we need to see their contracts. It's a mess. But no, if he can get a paycheck and they allow him to do it, God bless, more power to him. If you're Pope, would you ask him to come back? His interviews that he did when he played for you in the summertime, he came across like a wonderful young man.
He's a great guy. He's a great individual, sweet young man. He was a joy to coach. I only want the best for him because he did get him a raw deal. Just, he was in a bad time of his life when he came down here and played for Cal. And, things ain't been going great for him since he left. And he's just looking for an opportunity and a new start. Great individual. I wish him the best, whatever happens for him. But he deserves another chance, whether it's going back to the pros and making decent money, or if you can come back to college and make real money for a couple of years, hey, kudos to him.
You described him the way you used to describe me. You know what you said?
What?
Sweet young man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
He kind of reminds me of you too. Yeah, he does. He reminds me of you too, Bubs.
You know what? Here's what I wish on you. Every time you lie to me that your nose starts growing, and by the end of the year, you'll have beaten me, and your new nickname won't be Skinny, which I'm proud of all the weight you've lost, but it'll be Pinocchio.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have a comeback for you, but I'm not going to give it to you right now.
Oh, it's not clean, or you didn't think of anything?
I didn't think of anything.
I love your honesty. It makes it even better. And by the way, too. So you really didn't have any choice, to be honest. Because if you weren't honest, I would have pounced on you with your BS.
You already know.
Yeah, already.
You already know.
Part of our friendship. Probably the last one here. Ready for this? So I've been harping on this a lot. And my buddy Dick Hoopsweiss, when Caden Lewis committed to Kentucky, as soon as his name, was out there in the room, stuff like that, he called me up and said, "Big boy, you're going to love this kid," because he's seen him play a lot. And he goes to Villanova games. He won the game last night. And he is playing spectacular ball. He's a pro. I mean, I think he had 20-something, 7 and 6 last night or something like that, or the game before. But he won the game with his left hand. It was a great move over Xavier. I still will say the biggest thing that happened in the offseason is that when I'm not knocking the other lefty point guard, Lowe, who's got a bad shoulder, I wish him the best of luck. I hope he gets back 100%. But if they don't recruit Lowe, Lewis is the point guard, and this team has more wins.
Wow. Well, hey. They should have tried to get both of them, but you end up with nothing now. So you know what I'm saying. And look how good that kid's playing now.
Well,
where he is. So.
Lewis had committed; he was coming, and then after Lowe committed, he wasn't. Lowe.
He decommitted. That's right. You're exactly right.
And what I've been told is he would have accepted being a backup for 1 year, but Lowe had 2 years, and at that point they're gone. They were instantly gone. So look, judgment happens all the time. This will turn out to be, hindsight is wonderful. But Hoops told me right away that Lewis he said he's a much better player than Lowe. He's not ripping Lowe, by the way. He says he's a much better player. And you know what? He's like never wrong with his analysis. It's just interesting.
Well, this kid here could be a lottery pick. Lowe was never considered a lottery pick.
Right. Have you watched Lewis? I'm now watching a little bit of Villanova, not a ton. I'll look at the clips on YouTube just to see him. He's really good. And you know what? He's not that big. He rebounds. He passes. I mean,
you know what he is? You know what he is compared to Lowe? He's much tougher, more physical type of point guard. And, he's an alpha. You know what I'm saying? He's like the kid that's playing at Arkansas. He's, those two peas in the pod. That's what he is. He's a dog, and those are the type of point guards you want on your team.
He is a dog. There's no question about it. Sean, your analysis today was especially good.
You gave me a compliment, Alan Cutler.
Yeah, I paused. It came out of my mouth, and I'm going, I don't feel good right now.
Now, to tap it off before we leave, It's your turn. Tell me you love me.
No. No.
I see that now you stuttering. You never stutter, Alan Cutler. I got you stuttering now. Just say it. Don't stutter. Say it. Say it.
I stuttered because you're
right. For all the listeners in the state of Kentucky and all over the country on ESPN radio, say it. Say, I love Sean Woods.
Jimmy, would you stop the recording for a second? Can you?
Jimmy, don't you turn that off. Don't you turn that off, Jimmy.
Jimmy, you got.
Hey, because guess what? You're gonna lose some listeners if you turn it off in the middle of this. You already know that they're gonna be so hot and mad that they want to hear this.
Sean,
they want to hear it, Bubs.
Shut up, Sean Woods. I love you.
I love you too, Bubs.
Please hang up on him. Jimmy, please hang up on him.
Here's what you can just deny it and say it was AI. You didn't really say it. It was AI.
Hey, Jimmy, listen. I can't see Bubs right now, but I bet he's red as a beet.
Yeah.
Can confirm that is correct.
Would you? I'm begging you, Jimmy. Hang up on Sean Woods. Have a great day.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later, man.
Oh, you think we know each other too well?
Potentially.
Unbelievable. Whew. Hey, Jerry Tipton, how are you going to follow that? From Sean Woods, Jerry Tipton, Doug Barnes. So we go from a player with his retired in the rafters of Rupp, Mr. Woods, to Hall of Fame scribe Jerry Tipton, to former UK assistant Doug Barnes. That, my friends, is what I would call a heck of a lineup. Heck of a lineup. And this is a great place for you to improve your lineup, your body. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Ramon Carriega on Blue Lotus Health on Versailles Road, right by the radio station. He's been great for me. There's a gazillion things that acupuncture can help you with. It's off the chart. So one of the things he was doing the other day, he puts these needles in all of your body. And then when he came, when my session was up, a couple in particular had just gone in by themselves, not all the way in, but in a lot more. And that was one area, and didn't hurt when it went in more. Didn't even feel it as it was happening. It just does it naturally. You're relaxed. I'm meditating. I'm kind of half asleep and that kind of stuff. And it shows that area really needed some work, which was interesting. He's been a blessing. Acupuncture, Blue Lotus Health. Use my name, please. Check it out. You are worth it to help yourself. 859-533-0914. Jerry Tipton in the house. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth. And we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. An LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
I won't hang up until you tell me you love me.
All right, I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Alan Cutler. He said he loves Sean Woods.
I feel the same. I've always thought you're absolutely the best and always enjoyed being around you. And
Listen to Alan Cutler, folks. It's a pleasure for me, an honor to be on here with such a legend.
Everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the Chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the Chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
I love the game and I love winning.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh. What? Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
We were not good defensively tonight. In the second half, they shoot 57% from the 3-point line. They're the lowest assist per field goal made team in our league, and they were 20-7 tonight. That's just a poor commentary on defensive effort. Inexplicably, to start the second half, we just abandoned defensive assignments, and also Georgia made some good plays.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. And now, ladies and gentlemen, he doubles as a free throw coach. No, I'm just kidding. But he is in the Hall of Fame for his over 40 years covering Kentucky with a book. With his years covering Kentucky, Hall of Famer Jerry Tipton, kind enough to come in the studio. Jerry, how do you fix these free throws?
Well, right now I'm fixated on having to follow Sean Woods. That's a tough act to follow.
I think I'd be more comfortable if he said he loved you instead of me.
Of course. But fixing free throws, I mean, I don't know what you do besides shoot them again in practice. And, as you know, some people never get all that good at it, for usually big guys. And, it just is what it is. I was kind of struck by the turnovers. Maybe I'm fixated on offense, but the turnovers in the Georgia game last night and how that didn't help.
No, it didn't. 13-7, and Georgia got way too many points, with the help of those turnovers. And,
I think, Alan, I think there was 3 times that Oweh, he was being guarded, but he kind of dribbled the ball off his leg out of bounds. And I was just kind of, I don't know how many times I've seen something like that, 3 times in a game, that happening to a player.
And unfortunately, he led the team with 4 turnovers. And that turnover late, it seemed to me, just watching on TV, it's 9:00 games go to Rupp Arena. It's too late for me, Jerry. I think I'm conceding age or something like that. But when he dribbled it off his foot, I mean, it's like he sped himself up, like he didn't have to hurry. It wasn't like Oklahoma, like you better sprint to get the shot in. And it just seemed like he rushed himself. And, the guy's having a great year now that he's got his act together. He had 28 points, tied for a career high. But it seemed like I didn't expect him to rush. And that looked like a rush kind of deal.
Maybe I'm just a speculation on my part, but maybe it's just feeling an urgency to get it done, wanting to get it done. And maybe that got the best of him. That's just speculation on my part. But yeah. I was surprised 3 times that happening. I don't care how well you're guarded. 3 times seems very excessive.
And especially this is a star. Okay, let's go to your notebook first. You got some notes in your, what is number 1 on Jerry Tipton's list?
Well, I've been fixated all season really about close games. Kentucky's had, so many close games, including last night. And as we've talked before in the past, Ken Pomeroy uses he judges how lucky a team is based on how they fare in close games. And Kentucky's rating, they were before losing the last 2 games to Florida and Georgia, Kentucky was like number 99, I think, when I was on the show last week. So among the 100 luckiest teams, quote unquote. Now their rating, when I looked it up this morning, was 193.
Wow.
And so, it is what it is. I mean, I don't, I keep thinking about that. I think it's a good thing to be in those kind of possession by possession situations to get used to it. Although I wonder if, like in the postseason, it's a different environment, a more tense environment, because if you lose, you're out. The season's over. So I don't, I kind of wonder about that. But Kentucky certainly has, a lot of experience at that. And so, and I think, so many games, and I looked it up. Let me see if I can find it here. What did I do with it? They've had 11 games so far decided by less than 10 points. And their record in those games is 6-5. So that includes 6-3 in SEC games. So, I think any team can win like a 3 or 4 minute game. The worst team in the league can beat the best team in the league if it's a 4-minute game. So, that would make me, if I was a Kentucky fan, a little nervous going forward, especially going into the postseason.
Points off turnovers. Georgia had 22 of 13 Kentucky turnovers, and off 7 Georgia turnovers, they had 9. That was absolutely humongous, and it's also a credit to the speed. And so one of my big points is I'm not ripping the kids on the Kentucky team as far as them being athletes, but Georgia is so much better athletically than Kentucky. It's not even funny. Their speed, their quickness, their first step, their jumping ability, it was like a different level of basketball. And there were times I thought when they were open for threes, it's because they were open for threes. And then there were times they got open because their quickness. I think Kentucky didn't have a lot of confidence staying in front of their man because they knew that the other team was quicker. And I think that affected them as it might any athlete. And I thought athleticism quietly was huge. And, I haven't seen a lot of Georgia, Jerry. Honestly, I've looked at some clips off YouTube, some highlights, all their games. No, probably 3 or 4. I mean, just being straight, not a lot. And every time I've seen them, I've had the same opinion. How do they lose many games? I'm not saying there should be a top 5 or something like that, but their athleticism is so good. It's kind of like crazy. And there was a point early on where I said they were one of the surprise teams in the SEC. At the time I was writing, they just went through a bad streak. But was it as obvious to you as it was to me, the difference in the athleticism?
Well, yeah. And I think, too, that they were more – I keep wanting to remind people about the injuries that Kentucky has. And not having your point guard is not a little thing. And but Georgia had 10 steals, which is a lot. And I didn't realize this. I mean, every time I've watched them, which is like you, not that often, but they were competitive in the games I saw. So I was expecting a game last night to be competitive. And I thought, I'm kind of, thinking Kentucky will win it. And as they got closer and closer down the stretch, I was just pretty much expecting Kentucky to take the lead and hold on and win. Of course, that didn't happen. But I was stunned when the TV guys said that, and I looked it up just to make sure, I think Georgia was 1-5 in the most recent 6 games going into last night. And 4 of those losses were by an average of 17.8 points. So they were getting handled. And there was at Oklahoma, against Florida, which is no surprise, against Texas A&M, and at Texas. So, I had respect for Georgia, but I thought Kentucky was going to win.
Well, let's back up something you said, because Wilkerson, who's the leading scorer, as you know, didn't start last night, but he was out for 2 games with a shoulder. And if he doesn't play last night, I think Kentucky wins literally almost running away.
That's a good point.
And last night he had 19 points. Man, he's quick. Yeah,
he played very well. And I didn't realize Dominique Wilkins' son was on the Georgia team.
Yeah.
It was fun to see.
It was fun to see. And the first time I saw him, I don't remember when it was, I was, because, we both covered Dominique, and he was not just a great leaper, but we've both been close to him, and he was ripped. More than wiry ripped. I mean, he was built he had almost like the perfect physique. Now his son is obviously, he's a great athlete, but he's not ripped like his dad. His dad had muscles on muscles on muscles. He doesn't, and that doesn't mean he won't develop. But Dominique was really strong when he first showed up to play for Hugh Durham.
Is his son a freshman?
I believe so.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I will look it up.
Okay. I was unaware that he was on the team. That was kind of nice.
Jimmy, help me out, because I'm trying to do something else at the same time, and to look at 2 things and talk and chew gum and talk to Jerry, I can't handle it.
It does look like he is a freshman this year.
Okay. And apparently what I read a little thing on him preseason, it was sort of a given he would go there and that kind of thing. I mean, and I don't know how long he's going to stay. He's obviously not ready for pro ball, but you put 15 pounds on that young man. Ooh.
Well, I don't think people fully appreciate that players and teams evolve. The team you see now may not be the team you see a month from now, or the player. And so, of course, with him, a freshman, could be a long period of evolution. We'll see.
Actually, it was funny. I was talking about that just a little while ago, and I talk about that often. And Jerry, here's my theory. When you and I started back when Fred Flintstone was still around, when you and I started
back in the 80s, I think 1880s.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure there's some people that maybe not like either one of us think we started right after Abe Lincoln, so it's okay. But it just seems like because of today's society where there's less patient, that although that was a little bit of an issue back then, as I recall, it's much bigger with today's microwave society and with Twitter and those kinds of things that people do improve in. And look, the 98 team in December, there's no way you thought they had a shot at winning. There was no way I thought they had a shot at winning. Mid-January, there's no way they would thought. And they evolved and got their act together and got better. So
Here's my way of looking at that, Ellen, and I may have said this to you before, so I apologize if I have. My last year was 21-22, my last season.
Okay.
And early in the season, Kentucky beat North Carolina in Vegas 98-69. They just, were clearly better. And then about a month later, they beat Kansas at Kansas 80-62. Clearly, again, the better team. So what happens in the NCAA tournament? Kentucky loses to St. Peter's in the first round, and Kansas and North Carolina advance to the Final Four and then to the championship game, which Kansas wins. So I try not to overreact. And I think my wife gets tired of me saying there's plenty of time left in this game. Even though Kentucky's trailing right now, there's time to come back.
There is time to come back. I also think part of that is that Kentucky wasn't feeling the pressure in those early games against better teams. And I think everybody thinks they felt pressure at St. Peter's. I don't know why, but they got tight. And then St. Peter's just had a dream game.
I think it's a different sense, a different emotional level in the tournament, because if you lose, you're out. It's over. And that's, I would think that's what everybody's aiming for all season is the NCAA tournament and doing well there.
If Kentucky had played St. John's around Christmas time, it's one of those preseason games before the SEC starts, my guess would be they would win by 25 or 30.
Well, you mean St. Peter's?
Yeah, if they play St. Peter's, say, before the SEC tournament around, the non-conference.
Could be.
Stuff.
They had, I can't remember the guard's name, but he was really a really good shooter. And I thought he was, what I remember about it is how well coached I thought St. Peter's was, and how there was a play with Kentucky where this shooter was on the right side, kind of angled, and he threw the ball back to a teammate at the top of the key area, and Kentucky kind of backed off of him, and the guy at the top of the key threw it right back to him, and he shot and made it. And then after they beat Kentucky, the next game I was watching, same sort of thing happened where he threw the ball from the right angle over to the top of the key to a teammate. And this team, they scouted the Kentucky game, and the defender stayed right on him to make sure, he wouldn't get the ball. And St. Peter's anticipated that, and the guy cut back door, and the teammate at the top of the key threw him the ball, and he had a layup. I was impressed by that.
That is really smart. Yeah, you do your homework. You see the scout. We're going to go cover it. And they already had an adjustment. By the way, that same coach who's at Seton Hall now, they're the prize of the Big East because they have no money. And they were picked on the bottom. It's Seton Hall. It's Jersey. They don't have much money. And they're considered the surprise team because they got a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
They can't they can't keep anybody financially. It's just one of those schools that doesn't have money, but somehow he's definitely doing it. Okay, Jerry Tipton, would you be, if you were a Kentucky fan or just as an observer, I guess I should call you an observer because you're no longer a scribe writing all, but you still can't look at basketball the same. Hey, you've been trained too long. You're still analyzing in your head, I'm sure.
I'm trying to understand. I don't know if I'd go all the way to call it analyzing, but I'm trying to, get a sense of what's going on.
You're being too modest. I never questioned your sense when it comes to that, but okay, be modest. It's a trait I don't have, so maybe I could learn something from you. I lost my train of thought. When you look at how it went last night, and there have been periods of this before, it would seem to me, if I'm Young Pearl, the coach of Auburn, and I'm looking at tape, I'm telling my guys, push him around, put a body on him, bump him, bump him, bump him, bump him, because Kentucky admitted that there's no question Georgia was more physical, much more fit. And even Goose said that Mo was basically the only guy that was standing toe for toe with him. And so if I'm looking at this tape, I'm going, let's see what they'll call. But guess what? If we have to use our fouls, we will. Let's see. I don't know if intimidation is too strong, Jerry, but they actually pushed Kentucky around. Agree?
Yeah, and I thought Florida did too. I think that's just part of Florida's game, to be physical. They're fun to watch, just how talented they are, and with big guys and also little guys. But anyway, I thought early on in the season, Kentucky wasn't competing. I thought they were just sort of out there, and almost like it looked like, I don't know this, but it looked like they just thought, we're Kentucky and we'll win, and let's just, get this done. And now I think they are competing more, and which is a good sign. I think they're, the lessons is being learned, and we got to stand up to this. And it's too bad Quaintance isn't around. That's another injury that, I hesitate to be judgmental about this team because of the injuries. And it's, this isn't the team that was anticipated, that was put together.
I buy that, but you got to deal with the cards that you're dealt. So,
Yeah, that's true. It's the reality.
Okay. I talked to Sean Woods about this. I said this in the monologue. This drives me crazy, Jerry. Just really crazy. You're more than halfway through February. The word fatigue should not be a factor on any team. As I asked Sean, did you guys ever feel fatigue? And he basically, he laughed. Fatigue. It can't be fatigue. Your best players ought to be able to play 35 minutes and play hard or whatever you need to play and that kind of stuff. And so, honestly, I questioned after the last game, I can't be a hypocrite, that it looked to me, but I'm not the coach and nobody else said anything, that Owe maybe need to rest him a few more minutes, not have him play 20 minutes, but maybe 30 minutes instead of 35, 36 or something like that. But when Pope says fatigue, like, what the heck, Jerry? Are these kids not in good enough shape to play, or does Pope not trust his diminished bench to play? Because if you don't trust those kids coming off the bench, come on, we lived it in the SEC. You might have to, play 3 games in a row in 3 days and win, or 4 games in a row and win, and you're going to get dog tired. And even the starters, back after back after back after back days, it gets tired. Fatigue? A coach mentioning that word? To me, Jerry Tipton, fatigue is a 4-letter word.
Well, my immediate thought was that, do they have an Owe on the bench? I don't know if they do. I don't see it. So I think he's, he was preseason player of the year in the league, and they're human, so I can see where there could be fatigue given a particular game. Now you could also say we assume they've been working out for months, and they should be able to, they should be in good shape, but they are human. And, maybe in a particular game, like you say, the physical nature of the game could be a contributing factor in a player being more fatigued than he might be in another game. So I haven't, I can't say that I've thought, boy, that they're really tired. Maybe they are. There have been, I don't know. I keep coming back to not having a point guard and not having a big man. And I think those are two key positions for any team. And we can go down the list of all the great point guards Kentucky's had over the years. And I had the feeling, nobody said this to me, that was a recruiting priority, was to get a top-notch point guard, and then and obviously get a quality big man.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that 2 things. Marino was brought here to be a backup and learn from JQ, and maybe even be the third guy, because they expected Garrison to be better, and he's most of the time I think he's just not whatever he's not playing very well. So Marino, who's done very well for a freshman, is in a different slot. And they had Lewis and Lowe, and so it was a priority, but Lewis didn't want to stay. So I think those priorities for Pope, I thought they were legitimate, and I thought it was smart. But all right, last one, Jerry. Oh, but anything else on your in your notebook?
No, I think that's the highlight. I did, with Kentucky's luck at thing being like 197 now, I did look this up that the national champions going back to 2002, Ken Pomeroy's site has that. And 5 teams have won the national championship with a higher degree of unluckiness, shall we say.
Really?
Yeah. So the worst one was UConn. I think this is right. Yeah, UConn in 2023. Their final luck was 304. So they were like more than 100 points more unlucky than Kentucky is, and they won the championship. So it can get done. You don't luck. I mean, I always wondered, how do you judge luck?
I have no idea.
And Pomeroy said, I asked him, and he said, and did a story on it way back when, that is basically just based on close games and how you do in games that come down to possession by possession, whether you win or lose. And so that's, I don't think it's too scientific. It doesn't strike me that way. But it sounds like UConn didn't do all that well in close games. They probably didn't have that many close games. I would rather not have very many of them. And okay, I didn't win them, but I buried most opponents.
I wonder what the 96 team would be, because remember all the blowouts? They had 80-something and a half and stuff like that, and they were blowing.
To me, that was one of the more boring seasons I covered, because a lot of the games were over by halftime.
Yep.
We're just kind of sitting out, the second half. Let's get it over with.
Get it over with. Jerry, as always, thank you. I appreciate you coming in, appreciate your knowledge. And let's see, you probably went to sleep much earlier than me. It was close to 2 a.m. by the time I was done.
Oh, no, I couldn't have done that. But I did stay up till when that game ended last night? Was it a little past? It was after 11.
It was after 11, yeah.
Which for me is, pretty late. I was thinking earlier about a Seinfeld episode. I love Seinfeld, where he's visiting his parents who are retired in Florida, and they tell him, okay, we're going to bed, so, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. And then he says, like, to the camera, although he wasn't looking at the camera, well, 6:30, and I got the rest of the evening to myself. I can come close to identifying with that.
So you're doing the early bird special too, right?
Well, I've become, I was never an early riser, but I've become one, unfortunately.
Well, I'm saying eat dinner at 4:30,
But no, I don't do that. I don't go to bed at 6:30. Does the thought cross my mind? Yes, on occasion, but no. It's more like about 9:30 that, okay, that's enough.
All right. Hey, whatever works in our old age, as long as we stay healthy. Jerry, appreciate your time. Bless you, dude, and hopefully we can talk soon again.
Yeah, sure thing. Anytime, Alan. Take care.
Jerry, have a good day.
You too.
Jerry Tipton, terrific analysis. I mean, we're 2 for 2 so far with Tipton and Sean Woods. And coming up next, old friend Doug Barnes, former UK assistant coach, back in the days of Eddie Sutton. I wonder if he's playing any tennis now. Doug Barnes coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you.
to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth. And we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
I think we need to play with desperation every game. We're desperate, even if we've won 5 in a row, 6 in a row. We are desperate. Every game's a desperate win, and I think they showed more urgency tonight. Tonight they beat us, and they're more physical than us. I don't think it's left, but it's also hard to replicate the feelings of having a beatdown like what happened at Vanderbilt and coming back to practice, and it is hard to replicate that, but we've lost 2 in a row, and so we're now desperate again to go play Saturday.
So will they be more desperate again because they lost 2 games in a row? From Sean Woods and Jerry Tipton, now to an old friend, former UK assistant, Mr. Popolak. From Lexington, Doug Barnes. Hello, Coach. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. I just feel a lot of pressure after listening to Sean and Jerry. Those are known experts, and then there's me and stuff. So it was interesting for sure.
No, wait a second. Don't sell yourself short. As a head coach in college, what was your record? Do you know off the top of your head? You won a lot of games.
I forgot it on purpose.
You're a lot.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I've been harping on Doug free throws like crazy for a long time. In particular, the last few years. I mean, they're terrible. They were 12 of 20. It's 60%. And I wonder what your Mendoza line, I never asked you this. Mine has always been 75%. It's a free throw. And if you can't make at least 75%, I think it's bad. So here's my logic. With everything that went wrong last night, and you're 12 of 20, with a 117 to go, they're only down 3, 81-78. And because they've come back so many times, I still thought there was hope. Didn't have a great feeling, but I thought there was hope. But if you hit your free throws, the game could be tied or you could be up 1. And in that timeout, the strategy is totally different. Missing the free throws, and there were other obvious problems. Missing free throws is destroying these guys. What do you do as a coach?
Well, it's kind of one of my big gripes right now and stuff because, I was for 9 years as a head coach, I was dealing with athletes and players that most people did not want, at the NAI level. And at that level, I would not have been happy. I was not happy if we ever got close to 70%. I was always shooting for 75% of free throws. And now we're dealing with Division I players and supposedly some of the best in the country. And we're shooting like this. And it's free throws. There's also a mental part of it. And first of all, in other words, we were at 60%, 12 or 20. A couple of those that we missed were the front end of 1-on-1s. So it's even more important. But I don't understand it. I mean, and I was listening to Sean about the ways they work on it, but whatever we've been doing, we need to change because free throws can make the difference. When you start getting into the big games, which all of them are big now, make the team that makes the most free throws usually wins the game. And I just don't understand it because these guys should be shooting the ball better than that.
Doug, I feel terrible telling you this.
Mm-hmm.
Chat GPT, which is often not right. So I always take it with a grain of salt. But there have been times very right. So I put in Doug Barnes, assistant coach, Kentucky, and head coach. I forgot the school that you were the head coach for, but you were there 90 to be a record. And so they do have you as being on Eddie Sutton's staff, but there's no available record of you as a college head coach. Have you been
Well,
around?
I had them erase it and stuff, Alan, and stuff, just to keep my record straight. Stuff.
Yeah.
But with that said, I can tell you it was close to 500, which was not all that great. But I had 16 losses that were to Division I schools because I was getting paid $10,000 loss or $20,000, and I really needed it in my budget. When you add those into it, I ended up having a winning record. I remember that. And looking back, some of those wins were remarkable that we won and stuff too. But anyway, it was a good experience, and I was fortunate to really end up with some really good players toward the end, and that always helps and stuff.
I thought the difference, athletically speaking, more last night than at any game this year, that Georgia's athleticism and speed and quickness and jumping ability was tremendously far superior to Kentucky. That doesn't mean you're going to win the game because of it all the time. Otherwise, Georgia wouldn't be kind of like maybe in some people's eyes, a bubble team until last night. But it seemed like that Kentucky struggled with their athleticism. They struggled keeping people in front of them. Some of the threes they made because they were playing bad defense, and some of it was because they were just so quick they could get by their man. I thought the athleticism was a remarkable difference for two teams in this league.
Well, I obviously they were very quick, and then also their big men. They had some good big men. I just felt like they were more ready to play, and I thought that was a big difference and stuff. It just seemed like in the beginning, we got off to a lead, and then I didn't understand. I've listened to all the other comments. I didn't understand the rotation when it came for people coming in the game. I'm big on and keeping that rotation small, but that's just my opinion. But and I thought we just allowed them to stay around long enough. Then I don't think they thought they could beat us, but I think toward the end of the first half, they decided, hey, we can play with these guys, and then it was a battle. But I listened to the deal about fatigue, and I agree with Sean. At this time in the season, fatigue should not really be a factor. And now I do think that Ole was, his two turnovers, he was tired, but he was also guarding their, I think it's Wilkerson, and they may be asking a lot of the guy to guard their best player and then be so active. But at this time of year, fatigue should not be an issue. If it is, I'd say that you need to look at what you're doing in practice. For several years under Coach Sutton, we didn't practice more than an hour once we got into conference play. And because Coach was really big on making sure that people had their legs, and he said that's more than about anything. And we only played about 7 people. So I don't remember fatigue ever really being a factor and stuff. So that was a strange comment, I thought.
Could it be a coach trying to protect his players? The fatigue thing really set me off. I'm going, you're more than halfway through February. Fatigue shouldn't be a factor. And what Eddie Sutton did, I know Cal used to do, and you know this better than me. A lot of coaches do. You're not running your kids into the ground in February because it's a long season. Kids are tired, and you're more apt to get your legs fresh. And Bobby Knight, the day before he won his last national championships, he had his kids do nothing. Made sure they were off their feet and did a walkthrough, literally a walkthrough in a hotel ballroom, just walking around, and told his kids to stay off their feet because he wanted their legs back. So, what Sutton did sounds like it's smart, but when I hear the word fatigue, it's just like a dirty 4-letter word, Doug Barnes.
Well, I thought, I did think Alway was tired and stuff toward the end, and that his couple of turnovers were really crucial that really hurt, but he kind of had a reason. I mean, he was But Alan, this day and time with the TV timeouts, you're over there sitting down a whole lot and stuff. I don't know. I just thought that was a strange response and stuff. But I do think that the point that y'all have made already is that they were desperate. They played that way, and then we kind of played like we were playing Georgia, and I thought that was the big difference in the game.
So you've seen this. Sometimes teams go on a streak and they get a little soft, and then you can take a loss like this and get energized again. I'm not saying this is exactly the formula that will happen to Kentucky, but I have seen this, and I'm sure you have many, many times. Yes?
Yeah, that's Jerry made a good point. Seasons are long, and what you're doing in December and what you're doing in February and March could be completely opposite and stuff. That's the reason coaches get paid a bunch of money to make sure that development happens and stuff. It's just I just felt like, and I didn't understand some of the lineups we had in there, and I thought that to me was a factor. I know no one else said that, but I didn't understand maybe coach was trying to keep them fresh, but if you go in a game only for a minute or two, it's you don't need to be rested and stuff. I just think it was just a strange game as far as how we substituted, and I thought it affected our overall play.
I thought it was interesting that Colin Chandler, who I continue to say is the best interview on the team because he's calm and he's really honest. And he said that to Goose last night on radio on the network that he thought Georgia wanted it more. And if you're a coach, let me throw this at you, Doug. If you're a coach, if I could see it and you can see it and the players can see it, the coaches can sure see it. Nothing is perfect, but I wonder what, if anything, Pope did to try to combat that, because he had to see it. He's a smart man. Can you make adjustments to overcome that, Doug Barnes, former UK assistant?
Well, if I could have, I would have won a lot more games. It's really difficult, Alan, when and I know everybody talks about halftime talks and speeches and all that stuff, but the bottom line is teams are either ready or they're not ready, and to get that switched over, it can happen, but it's very difficult, and you got to, as a coach, in my opinion, you got to really work at that. Once you kind of get that sense that the other team is more, I don't know the term to use for it, but more in tune than yours, you got to really work at getting yours to understand that and stuff, and it's really difficult. So the truth is, what you'd have to look at is what are we doing preparing for the game, and why that happens, and because you really don't want it to happen once you get into March, because you just like one game is all you can have at that point and stuff. So it's a tough thing, but and a lot of it has to do with the personality of your players, Alan, how mentally tough and how competitive they are, and that's where you hope in your recruiting that you brought in those type of players.
As a coach, if you're looking at this film, do you think young Pearl, Auburn coach, will tell his kids, hey, we got to be physical with them? Look what Georgia did. They were physical with them, and it worked. So we're going to be really physical with them. Will this be a mantra if you were a coach and you were at Auburn for Saturday?
Well, I don't think there's any question. I mean, that's been the whole thing once you got into the league is playing as physical, and then how do we respond to it? So to answer your question, you're right on. I'm sure that's what he's saying in practice and what he's saying before the game. And in the past, we've responded against several teams that were physical. It's interesting that we beat Tennessee And Tennessee could be a really physical team.
Yep.
I just think it has to do with the preparation going on and the thought process going into the game.
Give a great plug for Papa Lock with both of the skills that you have with locksmith and opening up car doors, and in Lexington and in Louisville, Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, if you need a locksmith for any need, this is our 31st year, and so obviously we've been around, and it's a company that you can trust. And locksmithing, that's very important. And you can give us a call in Lexington at 253-OPEN, which is 253-6736. And in Louisville, of course, it's 502, but it's 895-OPEN, which is 6736. And you want to stay away from Google. Take those numbers down and call us, because there are a lot of people out there that you can't trust, and you got to really watch it once you get on Google.
My friend, thank you so much. How's your tennis game?
Well, I'm not playing yet, but I'm working at it. I'm in my hitting drills and stuff, trying to get where I can play. So that's my goal in the next month, to be able to play.
You get playing again, you've made a remarkable recovery. You know what I think about you, so I'm rooting for you like crazy. Doug, thanks for your time.
Yeah, I understand. All right. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Doug. Jimmy, we've been friends for a long time. He's a really good man. Really, really good man. I tell you, a really good place to go check out Terry Page. By the way, Jimmy, would you cue up Nick Lachey? I think we have time to play that comment before we say goodbye. Terry Page, 859-373-0578, 859-373-0578. And she said, this great licensed massage therapist, hey, Alan, what do you think about this? Your listeners get $10 off their first visit if they use the word Cutler when booking in February. In Butler, Kentucky, Mondays and Tuesdays. In Lexington, Thursdays and Fridays. She's on Regency Road off Nicholasville Road here in town. And I got to tell you, I always say this. She's great, and I don't understand why she ever has an appointment. And she's told me she's lost a lot of customers because they come here for a purpose and they get healed. Some come back for a maintenance every now and then, and some they're healed and they don't come back. So me, I will always come back. She's wonderful. She's helped me tremendously. Check her out. Terry Page, please use my name, 859-373-0578. This is crazy. Nick Lachey's actor from Cincinnati, big Cincinnati guy. I was host of the Bengals radio network for 14 years while doing TV. And the anger that he has for the Brown family and what they have done as an ownership family, he's angry. He's really, really angry. And you're going to hear this comment, unless Mike Brown sells a team, nothing's going to change. Here is Nick Lachey, and he's on the Fitz and Wit podcast.
He has 8 winning seasons in 35 years of owning that team. 8 winning seasons. I mean, there's been a lot of bad football, and we've always supported the team. We've always come out. The stadium deal they got is absolutely obscene in terms of the way the county has shown up for the team. So it's like an abusive relationship in a way. Like, the city of Cincinnati loves the Bengals, but I'm not sure the Bengals love us back. You know what I mean? And by that, I mean ownership doesn't love us back. And that's sad, you know? I think unless Mike Brown sells the team, nothing's going to change.
Wow. And he's right. I experienced this. You know, if you start playing well, then call Paul Brown Stadium when I was up there. They're great football fans up there, loud and crazy, whatever. And I think there's a similarity between Kentucky football fans and Bengals football fans that I've said this forever. A lot of bad years. I mean, think about it. There were times I'm covering Kentucky football on Saturday and hosted the Bengals radio network on Sunday, and 2 losses back to back. It'd wear you out. Plus a lot of hours, but it would just kind of wear you out. And I've always said Kentucky football fans are great. They have supported this team with a lot of losing seasons, I think, magnificently. I've always believed it. And I think Bengal fans are the same way. And when they are good, it's a wow. When they finally turn it around during that stretch when Marvin Lewis took over, it was a Monday night. I'll never forget it. Going on Monday Night TV, and we're doing the game, and the crowd was going freaking crazy before the kickoff. We couldn't even hear ourselves in the booth. And we all kind of looked at each other and said, we got chills. Looked at each other and said, this is just different. And Denver was undefeated, and the Bengals won the game. And I will always believe the crowd had a lot to do with it. To say the crowd was electric is not giving enough credit. And so the love for the Bengals is great, but the winning is not great. Real quick, Miami is now 26-0, and they topped UMass. Now, the 26 wins is Miami's most wins ever. It's the best start of a season since UMass in 95-96. Ironically, right? The coach then, John Calipari, who beat Kentucky in Detroit. And I was there. And Jimmy, I don't know why, but I always say this, best media meal I've ever had was in Detroit. Who gets steak? Who gets steak for the media? And so I just irony that they beat UMass, and that's the best start since UMass, going all the way back to 95-96. Thank you to Sean Woods. Thank you to Jerry Tipton. Thank you to Doug Barnes. Going to have fun tomorrow. Going to take a little time off starting Friday. I need a break. But you guys are great, and gals listening. I appreciate you not a little, but tremendously. Have a blessed day. Jimmy, thank you so much. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10 tomorrow. I'll be back at noon. Alan Cutler, 1300.